It's always great to have a few easy dessert recipes up your sleeve, and this one is absolutely perfect. I'm going to be using phyllo pastry as a base to make an apple and prune Flambeed tart. This is a recipe my mum has shown me how to make, and now I create it for my friends. Now, first of all, in a medium pan, we need to melt about 20 grams of butter. Break it up a little bit and just allow it to melt. In that, I'm also going to add a vanilla bean. So just using a sharp, small paring knife, cut it in half, and then scrape all of those delicious little seeds out. That is flavor right there. So that can go into the butter. Also, we'll add a good amount of sugar. So about 80 to 100 grams. And that's just classic caster sugar. Twirl the pan around and just allow that to melt together. Now, this is 2 Granny Smith apples that I've peeled, I've cored, and I've just finely sliced them. The thinner they are, the faster it's going to cook, which means the faster this is to make. And then I'm going to add them. Now, it seems like quite a lot, but they're going to break down a little bit. And then I'm turning the heat up and just allowing these apples to break down a bit and start to caramelize. If there's not enough heat, then we're not going to get the flambe that we need. Talking about flambeing, we're going to flambe with some brandy or some cognac. And instead of just adding the brandy and cognac straight to the apples, I've placed the cognac in with the prunes and just allowed them to absorb some of the liquid. That liquid is going to flavor the prunes so much. So once this is cooked down for about 6 to 8 minutes, I'll give it a toss now. Then I will flambe and then add our prunes. While that's happening, we can prepare our phyllo sheet. So classic phyllo pastry. I love working with phyllo pastry. It's such a great pastry to use for really fast desserts just like this. Bring it out of the fridge and just lay it out. They are really thin, but at the same time, it's quite easy to handle. So immediately cover it with a clean, damp cloth. Keeping it moist is key. And now we can start layering. So first piece of phyllo, we'll move it gently over to this side of the board. And then with a very large pastry brush or a paintbrush, I'm going to just add a little bit of butter on the first layer, spreading it out. Now, just for some extra sweetness, I'll add a sprinkle of caster sugar between each layer. Now, for the first layer, in the springform tin, I'll just bring this over here, grab the phyllo pastry, and the buttered side down goes in, and just allowing some of the phyllo pastry to hang over the sides, because what we're going to be doing later is folding it over and tucking it in. So that's the first layer, and I'm going to continue with using 6 pieces of phyllo and then overlapping them so we've got a crisscross pattern. Now, I've almost finished my layers, but these apples are looking like they're cooked, so it's now time to flambe. When you're flambeing, again, give yourself a lot of room and be really careful. So in with the alcohol, and then carefully, woo! Flambe. That's why you need to step back a little bit, but as that alcohol cooks off, you're left with this sweet, almost molasses-like smell. I love it, that caramel smell. So now that that alcohol is cooked off, I can add the softened prunes and then give them a stir around. Just allow all that liquid to completely reduce and become really sticky, and then turn the heat off. Just allow this to sit for about 15 to 20 minutes to come to room temperature, because you don't want to put hot apples into the pastry because it'll mean the pastry base will be soft. We want it to be crispy. Now the apples have cooled down completely, so I can add it to our pastry case. And you can see that I'm not overfilling it with the apples because I really do want to make it all about that crunchy phyllo. Spread it out so it's nice and even. And then what I do is carefully fold over the phyllo pastry. And you can see that the buttered layers there are holding and sticking it together, and then tuck it in so it's forming a little almost pie-like shape with another piece of phyllo pastry. You can use 1 to 2 pieces of phyllo pastry for this. I'm going to brush it one more time with a little bit of butter and sprinkle it with some sugar a little bit of caster sugar, and then scrunch it up, bring all the sides in, and pop it in the center, and then add a little bit more melted butter. And this bakes in the oven at 180 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes, or until that pastry is really crispy and golden brown. Now this has come out of the oven and I've allowed it to cool completely. So we'll just take off the collar and then, using a palette knife, just gently loosen it from the base very easily, and then onto a plate. Oh, it sounds pretty crunchy. And then to serve this, you must add a little bit of icing sugar over the top. And then I'm going to cut into it because I'm really excited about having a taste of this one. So a nice generous wedge. And I want you to have a look how delicious it looks inside. See how sticky those apples are? Just fantastic. And then onto a plate, and I think a little dollop of cream of your choice. I like the tartness of some creme fraiche, and maybe, just because, some extra icing sugar. This is one of those easy desserts that you must add to your repertoire, using phyllo pastry and a simple filling of apple and prunes. And don't forget that flambe of cognac really takes it to the next level.